was a buffalo soldier in the heart of America.
The 1983 release of Buffalo Soldier by Bob Marley and the Wailers helped popularize the story of the historic black male military units organized in 1866 in the wake of emancipation and the Civil War to serve out on the wild western frontier, as explained by historians at the Buffalo Soldier National Museum in Houston, Texas.
You talk about a mix of freedmen who some of who came from the North and did not serve in the Civil War. They might have missed it because they were too young. You also had a mix of Civil War veterans who basically wanted to continue their military service after the Civil War. But you also had formerly enslaved too from areas in the South as well as the border states.
And their duties out west is about 20% of U.S. Army cavalry and infantry units at the time, protecting settlers and sometimes Indian tribes as well, and escorting wagon trains, stagecoaches, and railroad crews, along with building bridges, stringing telegraph wires, and eventually becoming the earliest form of National Park Service rangers, protecting wildlife from poachers. The term Buffalo Soldier has nothing to do with our western New York City, but historians theorize Native Americans used that term for these African American soldiers who, in their view, somewhat resembled those symbolic animals of the western plains, and for their bravery in battle. Like John Denny from Elmira, New York, who won the Medal of Honor for rescuing a fellow wounded soldier while under fire. And yes, there was at least one female Buffalo Soldier, Cathay Williams, who posed as a man to enlist.
Some say it had to do with the eye texture, well, the eye color, the skin color, and the texture of the hair. Some say it had to do with the nation's fighting spirit.
In the early 1900s, some members also served at Fort Ontario in Oswego, New York, on Lake Ontario. Enlistment for Buffalo Soldiers meant $13 a month, with food, clothing, and shelter, but also some rights like reading and writing instruction, not always granted back then to black civilians, with racism and perhaps grudging respect above prejudice as professional soldiers with military careers. The museum shows how they persevered and helped lead the way for other black soldiers in later years in U.S. history, with eventual desegregation of the armed forces, even reaching for the stars as astronauts.
While the focus tends to be on the Buffalo Soldiers, we also chronicle pretty much black military history from basically the American Revolutionary War to the modern era.
The museum plans to observe the 160th anniversary of Juneteenth with a Buffalo Soldiers Military Reenactors event and a seminar on the real meaning of emancipation and how military duty affected African Americans who served.
Well, what's the long-term multi-generational impacts after those regiments came home? How did their military experience impact them? Like, how did it lead to them becoming either leaders in their community, or how did it lead them to doing certain innovations and stuff like that?
We'll have a link to the Buffalo Soldier National Museum at our WGRZ.com website.